Welcome to Salsido Paranormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I'm sharing experiences, true paranormal stories from the web. As always, you can find all episodes of the show, along with links to social media, ways to listen, and ways to support the show at the website, and that is salsidoparanormal.com. That's S-A-L, excuse me, S-I-D-O paranormal.com. And support is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows. There are many ways to support the show. You can share the show with others and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platform. You can sign up for the Patreon feed and get all the extra content there for as little as $1 a month, as my cat decides to eat and chomp down on her food. Anyway, you can also check out the merchandise store and get shirts and other items there with designs made by friends of the show. And also, please follow other friends of the show. That would be Jen, the Arcane Observer, who has her own channel and is the co-host of the show on Saturdays when she's able to make it. And Ricky of the Anything Is Possible podcast. I do shows with him on Sundays on his channel, um, where we talk all things paranormal. And you can also hear me fairly often on um, Trouble Minds Radio. So please follow Mike and Trouble Minds Radio and the Trouble Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where you can hear all kinds of amazing shows as well as my own 24/7 online for free. And I think that takes care of everything. So last episode, well, first off, I'm sorry for all uh, the roughness of my voice you're hearing lately, the clearing my throat. I'm going to have to get some medicine to take care of that, or something, some kind of natural medicine, whatever. We'll figure it out over the weekend. But also, I started reading a post in the previous episode here and realized that I was not going to get it done in time. So I don't want to read the whole thing over again. So I'll just summarize real quick. This is about a father and their kid. This is being written from the point of the kid as an adult now, and they were on a road trip, and the kid needed some food, and the father agreed, and they're just about to go in and find a restaurant and some restaurants to get some food. So that's where we're at in the middle of this at the end of the last episode as we start this episode here. So let me find my spot in the post here again, and we will get into this more. And once I find where I'm at. So it says, we took a left and saw a street with 6 to 9 restaurants, one being a gas station and 2 were under construction. My dad stopped at the gas station, and I went in alone to get a snack. Here's where the weird stuff starts. There was nobody inside the gas station except one other person, who also stopped to get gas. He made a joke about the employee going on break, and one of us said, "Hello? Anyone here?" There was nobody. I told my dad I was unable to get anything, and the guy in there left the area. My dad said okay, and so we stopped at one of the restaurants. We pulled up to the drive-thru and got no answer. So we went inside, and everything seemed to be on, but nobody was inside. We heard the beeps and the buzzing of the lights, but no people. We did the same for the let me see. I lost my spot. We did the same for the next restaurant. There we go. We went inside and everything was on, but there was nobody there. We did this for all the restaurants, just hoping to get something. At this point, my dad was a tad freaked out. He's a believer in the paranormal, both ghosts and aliens. We left soon after, as we had places to be and we were freaked out, and I was still hungry. We noticed that the entire place was empty, just us two. But then, why would everything be on? What about the construction? The gas station snacks weren't expired. Who was keeping people from stealing? I talked to my dad about this, and he confirms I didn't make it up. I know that proves nothing on the internet. I'm I'm just curious if there are any explanations for this. I don't even know if I'm in the right forum. All I do know is I'm 22 years old now, and this mystery is still in my head and drives me crazy sometimes. I've told this to so many people, and one thing I've heard several times is maybe it was a gas leak. That could be possible, but the thing is, the entire place was open for the public. There was no sign and no tape. Nothing at all to indicate any danger whatsoever. And that's where that one ends. And I don't know what to make of that one. If there's a logical explanation, I'm fine with it. Um, if it's a gas leak, then you would. I mean, how is it that several buildings in the area with space in between them were all there was nobody in them? Um, did the father and this person and their father, and then one other person that was in the area, did they stumble onto some weird time anomaly? Some weird, I don't know, portal? You hear about people sort of vanishing and then reappearing out in nature in the woods to the point where people are calling from them, and they'll call back, and the people looking for them don't hear them or don't see them. Uh, can that happen in an urban environment too? In other words, were there people in all those places, and the writer of this post and their father were literally not there, as far as the other people around them were aware, and the same went for the other people. The the father and the then at the time kid were not there. That basically these places were all fully staffed, and there were people coming and going, and somehow these two people were not visible. There's all these kinds of questions I wonder about with this experience here. And I've heard of this on a smaller scale with gas stations here and there, paranormal experiences, or with people going to gas stations and feeling like feeling like they've gone into a different time period. In other words, possibly the past, to where there's no debit card or credit card reader or whatever in the location, even though now those are practically everywhere. And of course, I'm sure there's still some exceptions to that, but I'm not just that's not the only detail that people have reported to where it seems like they were in a different time period. So anyway, just a really odd, anomalous experience, I think, in that case. That yeah, I don't know how you'd explain that, and it makes me wonder how often can people slip into other dimensions or other versions of reality unintentionally, and is that something that is done to them, or is it something that people like the human body and mind somehow can naturally do without meaning to at times? Uh, and of course, there's always the question, if that's not happening, then what is happening? Is there some other are they people going through portals? Are they being taken for brief periods of time somehow by other consciousness or transferred to locations that are just slightly off from reality as we know it? Just all questions here as usual. But I'm trying to think if I've ever had an experience like that. I don't think I have. I've had times where I've gone into stores and they seem exceptionally quiet, but usually with my ears I could hear even if there was someone in the very back, because my ears are very sensitive. So just for anyone that's curious, no, I have not experienced every type of. I have not had every type of paranormal experience as of yet. Not to say it can't happen. Wouldn't surprise me if it did someday, but have not reached that point just yet. Anyway, and I'm okay with that as well. Anyway, moving on to the next one here. This one says, we used to live in a house from the start of the 1900s. It was a former residence and doctor's practice. It was a wonderful house to live in, but there were also many sounds in that house, as in all old houses. On one occasion, I had to look through the entire house because I thought I heard someone uh, walking around the house. We also sometimes found windows opened while we were away and in the house, so it didn't matter if they were there or gone. My wife often saw some kind of shadows moving at the sides of her vision, but she could never get a grasp of what they were. On two occasions, we awoke to the smell of smoke, but there was no fire, outside or inside. I've heard of that, some sort of uh, phantom smoke. A lot of times you hear about perfume or cigar smoke, but I've heard of smoke from fire as well, just general smoke. But then people look and there's no fire. It says, I have never really considered truly believing in ghosts, but I can't explain these experiences. Any input as to what we experienced? And that's where that one ends. And that's a lot happening there. Um, and I don't know. I wonder if there's history, if there was a fire in that area at some point in the past, and that's what they were smelling. The smoke from different time period, either a time anomaly or I do wonder. I mean, if consciousness can generate sounds and images, then why can't they generate certain scents or fragrances? I guess. So I don't know, but in the shadows, and if there was, if the only thing that anyone experienced there, and if it was, especially if it was only the was one person experiencing the shadows out of the corner of their eyes. I've heard that can just be, people write that off as just being their own eyes playing tricks on them, or conditions of their eyes just changing, things in their eyes, parts of natural organic materials in their eyes shifting, making them feel like they're seeing shadows. But with all these other things going on, I think we have to consider possibly that they were seeing some kind of shadow figures as well. Uh, you have objects, you have windows opening, closing. It actually doesn't say closing. So just opening, which again, maybe it's not connected, but also if you think of a fire, what are you going to try to do? You're going to try to open the windows. So I wonder if those two, the smelling of the smoke and then finding windows open in the house, even though they're at different times, if they could be connected. I guess you'd have to look a lot deeper into the history of the house and or the property, because not the paranormal does not always um, stick to the buildings that are in a place. I've heard plenty of accounts of buildings being torn down and then new buildings being put up, and there's still being activity in them in those areas. So, and other times I've heard of it where getting rid of the building does stop the activity. Uh, so, as I always say, there's just so many variables to all this that's what makes it so hard to figure out what's going on. So let's get to this next one here. This one says, I had something happen to me as a child that I still can't explain. For context, I have never been a sleepwalker. When I was about 8 or 9 years old, in the mid 2000s, my family and I lived in California. It was a fairly normal neighborhood with little to no traffic at night. I went to sleep as usual, as I would, or as I would any other night. I had my pajamas on, just a regular t-shirt and pajama pants. There was something very strange that happened when I awoke the following morning. My shirt was nowhere to be seen, and I had thick car tire tracks, across my chest, but I was still laying in the position I fell asleep in. Wasn't any pain or bruising where the tracks were, just the obvious tire tracks. I know this wasn't a prank, like someone just rubbed dirt on me or something, because that's something I know my parents wouldn't do. And my sisters, frankly, aren't clever enough to think something like this up. That's not very nice, but okay. There were specks of asphalt in the tracks as well, which, in my opinion, rules out it just being common dirt. I never told my family about this because, frankly, it just freaked me out, and I just wanted to forget it. Now, 20 years later, I've been thinking about it more and more often, and it's just something I've never been able to explain. And that's where that one ends, and I don't know what to make of that. Um, the fact that there's no pain, the asphalt, the basically road material being on them, it's really odd. I've never heard of a situation like that. Uh, I don't know how there could be tracks. I guess it must be dirt or whatever material from a road that would be on someone like that if they weren't placed there somehow. I don't know. It's really if they were literally run over somehow, there would be pain, there would be injury, there would be other evidence other than just the marks, I would think. So that one is really, I don't know how to explain that. I've heard of other cases where people have um, had dreams of being in other places, and when they woke up, like let's say they had a dream about being on a beach or near water or in water, and when they woke up, there would be sand near them or there'd be sand on them. There was a Twilight Zone episode I reviewed where something like that happened, where basically someone was almost bilocating, which is a whole other topic as well, whole other phenomenon as well. But yeah, I have never heard of quite this situation before, and I don't know. That is an odd one there, uh, and I'm not sure how to really take that. Um, And again, I always like to consider the possibility of these things being real, just in case it is real, and be fooled here or there by a fictional post, rather than not to believe people when they say they've had experiences, because I wasn't there. So we'll do one more here. I think we can fit this in. So it's a longer one again, but that's okay. This next one says, "This is my first ever post on here. I was doing a bit of my own research about what has been happening and came across a post on here from around 4 years ago that is very similar to what I have been experiencing. First of all, I think it's important to note that the house is very old and there have been very traumatic accidental deaths in the house a very long time ago. Also, I have lived with my boyfriend and his family for the last 2 years or so. They have lived here since maybe 2019. I'm not exactly sure. The first time I believe I saw something strange was early last year when I thought I saw my boyfriend's sister leave her room and walk down the stairs. She hadn't been home all day, so it definitely wasn't her. The second occurrence was later on that same year. My boyfriend was walking down the hallway upstairs towards the bathroom uh, and thought he saw me peeking my head around the corner out of the spare bedroom, as if I were waiting to scare him, which we all do to each other, so nothing I wouldn't have actually been doing. I was actually in the bathroom when I heard him calling my name and laughing, asking what I was doing, in a way which seemed as if he'd caught me trying to make him jump, so it wasn't going to work. Again, nothing that wouldn't actually happen. It wasn't until he came into the bathroom where I was that I saw how confused and almost concerned he looked. He explained what had happened, and I told him I had been in the bathroom the whole time and started to get a little scared myself. Uh, lost my spot. Lost my spot. Not a good thing because I'm running out of time here. Um, okay, there we go. And thought he was. Let's see here. I thought he was pulling some weird prank on me, but it turns out he wasn't. He wasn't joking, but he thinks it was me, and I had somehow managed to quickly run from the hallway, past the stairs, and into the bathroom and shut the door without him seeing or hearing me. All in the time it took for him to reach the end of the hallway. Let's see here. The layout of the house makes this impossible, as he definitely would have seen me or heard me open and close the bathroom door. And we're already out of time. You know what we're going to do? Okay. This has been a weird night. I'm just going to take the last episode and this episode and combine them, make another Patreon episode, just so we can finish this post here, because it's been one of those nights. So let's see here. The most recent event was last night. My boyfriend's dad asked me if I went into his room last night to use the toilet. I definitely didn't. The closest toilet would be the main bathroom, which I normally go to, unless someone's in there. Then my second option would be to use the downstairs toilet. When I told him I hadn't, he said he saw what looked like me, even down to what they were wearing. My mom bought me a white hoodie for Christmas, and that is what he said they were wearing. but I wasn't wearing it last night, and it was hung up in the spare room on a hook on the inside of the door. He said, I, in quotation marks, walked into his room and into the bathroom, used the toilet, and walked back out again. Clear as day. I know it 100% was not me, as I would never walk to his room at the opposite side of the house to go in and use the toilet in the middle of the night when there are two other toilets closer to mine in my boyfriend's room. And secondly, I wasn't wearing what he said he saw, but I do own the hoodie. Any answers or explanations? And that's where that one ends. So I have no idea how to explain that. Seems like a lot of things going on there. I do think we'll just release this, and this won't go to the regular feed. So not regular feed, radio feed. Anyway, so yeah, I'm not sure what they saw there, but there's a lot going on there. Sounds like a lot of activity in the house having to do with mimicry and or yeah, sounds a lot more like mimicry than just possible time slips. Although that could be or time anomalies. But also, as usual, both could be happening too. So, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you all for listening and bearing with me tonight as I stumbled through all this. And I will talk to you all next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.